Great day, students, and welcome back to another episode of Mr. Sargent Teaches Vocabulary. Now, this week's words are really special to me, mainly because you know that more than anything in school, I love science. There is nothing more intriguing to me. There's nothing more fun for me and engaging. And the great thing about science is that it connects with every other subject. You could do math in science, you could do reading in science, you could even do social studies in science. And when you learn about the digestive system and other things, you can even do lunch for science. See, science is everywhere and everything. So our words this week are going to be science words. And these science words can be found in the stories that you're reading. Now, for some of these words, I'm going to backtrack to a story you read last week. But for the other ones, they're going to be stories that you get to read this week. But listen, it's not just for ELA. The words you're going to learn today are going to help you in your science class as well, as we discuss just what these words mean and how they connect to what we're doing. All right? So, the unit that you're talking about right now and reading about is cycles in nature. Now, the first story that you're going to be focused on is the life cycle of trees. And there are 5 words, incredible words, that we're going to go over with this list. Now, the other stories we're going to read which came first, the chicken or the egg, the life cycle of frogs, and the life cycle of butterflies. Now, all of these words are all connected. They all deal with life cycles and how these cycles continue and produce, well, trees, butterflies, frogs, and, well, which came first, the chicken or the egg? So, chickens and eggs. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully right now you're sitting watching this with a notebook ready to write down both the words, the part of speech, and the definitions, so that when it's time to read these stories, you have already mastered the vocabulary. So, with no further ado, let's go to the life cycle of trees to find our first 5 words. The first word is decomposer. Decomposers are nouns. These are living things that help break down dead material. The second word is dependent. Dependent is an adjective. This means requiring support or help. Our third word is flexible. Flexible is an adjective and means able to bend or move easily. Our fourth word is germination. Germination is a noun. This is the process in which a seed begins to grow into a plant. And our final word from the life cycle of plants is mature. Mature is an adjective that means fully grown. So, did you get the first 5 words? If not, go back in this video, write those words. And remember, when I put the pause up there, you're going to want to pause and write down these words, because these words are awesome this week. All right? So let's go on to our next story. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Now, in this story, these words are going to deal with mostly the egg. All right, so let's go over our 5 words that we have with this story. The first word from this story is albumin. Albumin is a noun. This is the clear or white part inside an egg that surrounds the yolk. Our next word is embryo. Embryo is a noun. It means an unborn or unhatched animal early in its development. Our next word, fertilize. Fertilize is a verb, and means to make an egg able to grow and develop into a chick. Our fourth word from this list is replenished. Replenished is a verb and means replaced or refilled. And our final word from which came first, the chicken or the egg, is yolk. Yolk is a noun. This is the yellow or the internal part of an egg. All right, so you should have 10 total words right now. If you don't, like I said, stop, go back in the video, find the word that you missed and put it in there. Listen, these words don't have to be in order as long as you have the words. So go back, if you don't have 10 already, stop right now, go back and find the ones you're missing before we go on to the next story. And whenever you're ready to go on to the next story, find this part in the video and let's continue going. All right? So the next story that we're going to be reading or in class is the life cycle of a frog. Now, like I said, all of these are science words that you're going to need to know. And if you master these, you're going to understand the stories you're reading as well as science. So let's take a look at the 5 words that we're going to be focusing on with the story, The Life Cycle of a Frog. The first one, amphibian. Amphibian is a noun. It means an animal that can live on both land and water. Our next word, burrow. Burrow is a verb. It means to make a hole or passage into or under something. Our third word, gills. Gills are nouns. This is a body part some aquatic animals use to breathe underwater. Our next word, lungs. Lungs are nouns. This is a pair of organs used to breathe. And the 5th word on the list, this is my favorite word out of all of the entire list, metamorphosis. Go ahead and say it with me. Metamorphosis. Break it down. Metamorphosis. I love this word. Metamorphosis is a noun. This is the process by which some young animals change as they become adults. All right, do you have this list? All right, ladies and gentlemen, now one interesting thing about this list so far is most of these are going to be tier 3 words. So they're going to be a lot of challenging words. This is what's great about this science list. Most of the words that we're putting on this list are challenge words. The only word that's a tier 2 word is burrow. So ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to focus on the colors this week because most of them are tier 3. Now, on to our next story, the life cycle of butterflies. With the life cycle of butterflies, we only have 3 words, but they're 3 very important words. These are level 3 words that are definitely going to challenge you. So, the first word from this story is larva. Larva is a noun. This is the early form of an insect that is not completely developed. Our next word, molt. Molt is a verb. It means to shed an outer layer. And the third word on this list is transparent. Transparent is an adjective that means clear or see-through. So, did you get all these words? I believe that total you should have about 18 words total for this list. All right? Honestly, not too hard this week. We've done pretty well. And I added a few more words to help you, especially with the life cycle of the tree, to help you understand how all of these science words are connected. And like I said, whenever I'm talking science, I get so happy to talk about science. But In order to understand science, you need to know these words. So, having said that, one thing that I would love for each one of you to do this week, I'm not going to ask you to use these words in a sentence. I am not going to ask you to even draw a picture. We're going to do that in class. What I'd like you to do is this. For each one of these life cycles, I want you to find what's similar and what's different. I want you to compare and contrast. Now, what I mean by this is this. Take a look at the life cycle of a tree. Okay? Starts off as a seed, goes to a sapling, a small tree, and big tree. And then take a look at the life cycle of a chicken. Are there any similarities? So when you look at these two life cycles, we can find what's the same and what's different. Now, you're saying to yourself, Mr. Sargent, chickens lay eggs, trees have seeds. But if you look closely, does the tree go directly from a seed to a full tree? No, it goes through stages, doesn't it? It goes through the sapling and the young tree. Well, we can compare that by saying the sapling is much like the hatchling or the chick here. See, even though these are two different organisms and two different life cycles, you can still find similarities and differences. So take a look at the 4 life cycles that we have talked about throughout this unit, and then see if you can make any connections. I'll give you a hint. The easiest one to do would be amphibians or frogs and the chicken. All right? I'll let you figure out how they're the same. So write down or talk to me about how they're the same and possibly how they're different next week, and I'll throw some bonus points your way. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope this video helped, and I hope that you got all the words. If you didn't, go back in the video. And most of all, ladies and gentlemen, let's start making connections with these words. You have been doing an incredible job with these words. Let's figure out how to use them even more, especially in science.